Welcome to Digital System Design course. In this short lecture, we will look at two kinds of latches that can be constructed with the help of the SR latch that removes the problem of the forbidden state, but also would be of quite useful in designing digital circuits. We already saw that the set reset latch, either in the SR form or in the S bar R bar form, can be used as a building block to construct other latches. One such latch that we looked upon from the SR latch by removing the forbidden state is the D type latch, which is also called as the transparent data latch. Now we will look at some more designs with the aim of removing the forbidden states and also latches or devices which achieve certain functionality. The main idea behind removing a forbidden state is that we should not let the input condition 1 to occur in the inputs of an SR latch. So if you always feed inputs which are complemented in nature to the S and R inputs, then a 1 condition will never occur. It also follows that 0 will also not occur, but definitely forbidden state will be avoided. So how do we get two inputs which are complemented in nature, which can be fed to the S and R? In the case of the D latch, we took one input and complemented it. The uncomplemented input has been given to S and the complemented one was given to R. So using an external signal, we generated these two complemented and uncomplemented signals. Now, if you carefully look at the latch, we do have two signals which are in the normal state and in the complemented states by its own nature in the latch. Those are nothing but the outputs of the latch. We saw that if you operate the latch in the normal form, in the restricted conditions without getting into the forbidden states, Q and Q bar are a complement of each other. So we can as well use them for enabling the for generating a device wherein forbidden state is being removed. So here from the SR latch, we have constructed a latch where the Q and Q bar are being fed back and reused as the inputs for the SR latch. So here what we have done is the Q is being taken and it is being given to the R input, where the Q bar is being taken and it is fed to the S input. But to have a control of when this feedback should work, we have an additional control signal, which enable signal, which we will call it as the T signal. The reason for using T to denote this enable signal will be obvious. So, and these AND gates are used basically to let this enable signal to enable the working of this SR latch or disable it. So let us look at how this latch will work and what is the role of this T or the enable signal. When T equal to 0, then both these AND gates disable the feedback input from going to the S and R inputs of the SR latch. So what will happen is we will have a condition of S equal to 0 as well as R equal to 0, which is a no change input condition, as a result of which Q and Q bar will not change. Essentially, we are retaining the state of the SR latch. So this is what is shown in this truth table. When T equal to 0, irrespective of the previous value of Q, S equal to 0, R equal to 0. So Q plus will be the same as Q. if Q was originally 0, Q plus will be 0. If Q was 1, Q plus will be 1. So this happens when T is 0. Now let us see what happens when T is made equal to 1. If T is made equal to 1, then the gates are opened. The T signals enables the feedback signals to propagate and reach the S and R inputs of the SR latch. So Q will come and be given as the input to R, and Q bar will come and be given as the input to S. So let's work out what will be the effect of this. So here T is equal to 1. Let's consider a case where Q was 0 and Q bar was 1. See, although this is a truth table in which T, S and R are the inputs and Q plus is the output. See, Q is being used to derive the input. So we should also look at the value of Q in finding out what will be the value of S and R. So if Q was 0, Q is the one which is being fed back and passed as the R input. So R will be 0. If Q was 0, Q bar would have been 1, and that Q bar is the one which is being fed back to S, and therefore S would be 1. So this is a 1 0 condition for the S and R inputs of the SR latch, which is a set condition, as a result of which Q plus will be made equal to 1, or the flip flop is being set. Originally it was 0, now it is changed to 1. On the other hand, if when T is 1 or the SR latch is enabled, if Q was 1, and that 1 goes to the R input, if Q was 1, then Q bar would have been 0 and 0 goes to the S input. So we have a case when S equal to 0, R equal to 1, which is a reset case, and as a result of which Q plus will be reset, that is Q plus will become 0. So if Q was 1, it becomes 0. So in effect, if you only concentrate on the effect of the output of the SR latch because of a 1 in the T input, we will see that if Q was 1, it becomes, if Q was 0, it becomes 1. If Q was 1, it becomes 0, which means that it changes its states, or it flips, or it toggles. Therefore, we will call this latch as a toggle latch and use the shorthand notation T to denote the toggle condition, and call this as a T latch. That is why we use this symbol T to represent this input. So if you want this latch to retain its state or the output, make T equal to 0. Whenever you want this latch to flip or toggle its states, you just give a 1 to this T input. So that explains why we use the T symbol for this enable input of a T latch. Now let's carefully look at how this circuit will behave when this T input has been made to be 1 for an extended duration. So before we delve into this one, while there are many ways of giving the feedback, see, we wanted to give a feedback to S and R which are complement of each other, and we know that Q and Q bar are complement of each other. We could have given this feedback in a different way. You could have given Q to the S input and Q bar to the R input. That will also remove the forbidden condition. But if Q is given to S and Q bar is given to R, then what will happen is that the state of this flip-flop will be retained. if the flip-flop was originally set, it will again be set. If it is reset, again it will be reset, because if Q was originally 1, 1 will go to S and 0 will come to R, it will set. If Q was originally 0 and Q bar is 1, the 0 will come to S and 1 will come to R, it will again be reset, that which means Q plus will be 0, which means it will be a no change condition, which means when t is equal to 0, there won't be any change in the input state, and when t is made 1, then also there won't be any change in the flip-flops state, which means that we cannot do anything with we have no control over the flip-flop. That is why we have carefully flipped the outputs that are being taken and fed to the S and R. See, Q is fed back to R and Q bar is fed back to S, and that is what will toggle this flip-flop, and that is why we have given this kind of a feedback. Now, so this feedback toggles the flip-flop. Well, how long it will take to toggle? That depends upon the propagation delay of the NOR gates that are present in this SR latch. So, suppose we give t is equal to 1 for an extended duration, then what will happen is, if Q was originally 0, it will toggle to 1, but because t continues to be 1, having toggled, we have this case where Q has become Q plus, after some time will be treated as Q for the future calculation, and that will become 1, and as a result of which it will again toggle and become 0. And for further more, if you retain t is equal to 1, this 0 will again toggle and become 1, and so we will have a condition where the output of the flip-flop keeps on toggling as long as t is kept as 1. So, what we see in this one is, if t is kept as 1 for a long duration, the output of this flip-flops keeps on toggling between or flipping between 1 0 1 0 and so on. We should avoid this. So, what we have to do is that we have to give a very small pulse to the t input of this t latch, so that it toggles just once. How can we make that possible? Because it takes a finite amount of time for the feedback signal to propagate through the cross-coupled NOR or NAND gates of the SR latch and affect the Q. The pulse width of t has to be smaller as compared to the propagation delay of this SR latch, so that the changed input, changed output, that is the flipped one, does not go back and re-change the state of the latch. So it just affects only once. So if this pulse width is small enough so that this effect of toggling takes just once, then we could achieve the goal of changing the flip-flop once. So we have to be very careful in doing so. So at the same time, the pulse width of t should not be too small. If it is too small, then if you don't even give enough time for the circuit to work and toggle. So it has to be carefully kept. So how do we do that? We can achieve that by adding a delay element. See, we could carefully plan and give a pulse width in t so that the effect of toggling occurs only once, but such a design will be very difficult. The pulse width has to be very narrow, of the order of 5 nanoseconds if the propagation delay of these gates are just 5 nanoseconds. And again it is varying, so it will be difficult to design. So we intentionally add some delay circuit between the Q output of this SR latch and the point at which we actually tap or take out the feedback signals and feed it back to the S and R input of the SR latch. So what will happen is, suppose this latch has stabilized, which means that the output Q and Q bar has propagated and be available at these points. We let this flip-flop to remain in a given state for a duration which is longer than this delay. So this Q, having stabilized, would have propagated through this delay and it would have been fed back, and it will be waiting at this input of these AND gates, waiting for it to be enabled by this T input. Similarly, Q bar would have propagated and waiting here for the T to enable it. Once a pulse is being given to the T input, the gate opens. Of course, the time taken is the propagation delay of the AND gate, and it will be available at the S and R input of this SR latch, and after a propagation delay of these two NOR gates, it will affect Q and Q bar. So this pulse width has to be sufficiently large for this to happen, but the newly changed Q and Q bar should not have enough time to affect this feedback signal. So this delay has to be larger. As long as the pulse width is larger than the propagation delay of this AND gate and the NOR gate, but lesser than this delay circuit, this whole T latch will work. So this is how we construct a T latch, which can be used to toggle once by giving a pulse. So every time you want this to toggle once, you just give a pulse. If you give a pulse 3 times separated appropriately, then 3 times it will toggle. If you know the initial state and if you can count the number of times the pulses have been given, you can at any given time find out what would be the state of this latch. Now we can come up with the truth table for this T latch. So which means what we are doing is we basically are expanding this compact truth table and putting it here without this S and R and so on. So T is 0 for both these cases. When T is 0, 0, when Q is 0, Q plus is 0, when Q is 1, Q plus is 1. That is what is given here. Coming back to the last two rows, if T is 1, that is it is enabled, then it is a toggle condition. Q is toggled. If Q was 0, it becomes 1. If Q was 1, it becomes 0. So this is the truth table. So how do you arrive at the logic equation for Q plus? It has to be actually not Q bar, it has to be Q plus. That is what we are interested in. In terms of the two inputs Q, T and Q, you can see that this is a truth table for an exclusive OR gate. When both inputs are 0, the output is 0. When both inputs are 1, the output is 0. Only when T and Q differ from each other, the output is 1. This is precisely an XOR condition. So we can write Q plus is equal to T exclusive OR Q. Okay. So that is the T latch, or if you want, you can call it as the T flip-flop which is a level triggered flip-flop, if that is the way you want to call it. But again, you have to note it that the level of the enable signal or the T signal, which we will later on call it as the clock, is the one which makes this change to happen. So it is still level triggered, and these devices we have seen so far are not edge triggered. Now let us extend this concept. This T latch serves a condition that it toggles or changes the SR latch once, but still we do not have, it solves the problem that there is no forbidden state, and we can also retain it by giving T is equal to 0. But we have lost a control that if you specifically want to store 1 or a 0 at a given time, we cannot do it. Okay, we can only enable the latch to toggle. So how do we retain that condition? Essentially what we want is, we would like to retain the SR flip-flop's capability of setting or resetting at our will and or the no change condition, but only thing is the forbidden state has to be removed. If that forbidden input condition is being removed, and instead if you give the toggle condition, then we can absorb both the functionalities of the SR latch and the T latch and come up with a device. And that is what we call it as the JK latch. So here what we have done is, instead of giving the same input, T input, to both the gates in the feedback circuit of the T latch, we have separated them out. We will retain them as two different control inputs, and individually we can manipulate it. Well, one we will call it as J, another we will call it as K. And now we have the freedom to fix J and K to any given value as per our wish. That is, both can be zeros, both can be ones, both can be 1 or 0 or 0 1. But now we may wonder, are we returning back to the original condition, where what happens, can these input condition, will it make S and R to be 1 1, which is the forbidden condition which we are trying to avoid? It will so turn out that it will still work in a safe mode, but still we will have a freedom to either set or reset the latch or toggle it. We will see how this JK input, J and K inputs, let that to happen. So naturally we will call it as the JK latch. So we will look at the condition when both J and K are 0 0. It is the same as the case when the T input is 0. Now we have taken it separately. So what happens when T is 0? The latch is disabled and it will retain the state. Similarly, when J is equal to 0, K is equal to 0, S will be 0, R will be 0, and it will be a no change condition. So S equal to 0, R is equal to 0, Q retains its value. Q plus is equal to Q, that is the no change condition. Now what will happen when J is 1, K is 0? Again, we have to look at the two possibilities. What was the original state of this latch? Q. It could have been 0 or it could have been 1. So we will analyze these two conditions, input conditions. There are three input conditions. One is J, K, and another is Q. Q is also an input, and in turn its complement Q bar is also an input to this whole circuitry. Since we know Q and Q bar are complement, it is enough if we take one and derive the other from it and make use of it. So let's look at this condition. J is 1 and Q is 0. So when Q is 0, Q bar is 1, and this Q bar comes and gets ANDed with J, and the result S becomes 1. So S becomes 1. Okay. And K is 0, which immediately makes R to be 0. So we have a case which is S equal to 1, R equal to 0, which is a set condition, and it sets the latch. It becomes 1. It was 0 and it has become 1. Now let us look at a case when J is 1, K is 0. What will happen? The moment K is 0, immediately R is 0. So we can immediately fill this out as 0. But if in this case, if Q were 1, that is the case we are analyzing. If Q were 1, Q bar would have been 0, then Q were 1, Q bar would have been 0, and this Q bar is fed back and ANDed with J, resulting in a 0 for S. So this is a case when S will also be 0 as well as R. and as a result of which it is a no change condition. But no change means q, which was originally 1, will retain its value as q plus. That is, q plus will also be 1. So if you carefully look at this q plus, in both cases it's 1. So j equal to 1, k is equal to 0, irrespective of the value of original value of q, will make q plus to be 1, which means essentially it is a set condition. So we saw that in an SR latch, S equal to 1, R equal to 0 is a set 1. Now j and k acts as if they are S and R. J equal to 1, k is equal to 0 sets the latch. So that way it j and k acts like S and R. We will also look at this other case when j is equal to 0, k is equal to 1, and two possible values of q, 0 and 1. So j equal to 0, moment it is 0, s will be 0. So you can immediately fill these two places as 0, 0 because j is 0. And how about k? K is being ANDed with q. So when q is 0, r will be 0. When q is 1, that is the only case when k equal to 1 and then q is also 1. K is 1, q is also 1, and therefore r equal to 1. So now in the this row, it is a no change condition. S equal to 0, R equal to 0 is a no change condition, and therefore q plus will be the same as q and it will retain its 0 value. And this S equal to 0, R equal to 1 is a reset condition, and it resets the latch, and therefore q plus will become 0. What was 1 has become 0. Now, but we can see in effect q plus will become 0, whatever may be the value of q, as long as with this input combination of j and k. So j equal to 0, k is equal to 1 resets the latch. So again k acts as if it were r and j acts as if it is s. So we can see that these three part of the truth table tells that this jk latch acts similar to the SR latch, okay, in terms of no change, set and reset. Only thing is we have to interpret j as the set input and k as the reset input. What happened to the case of j equal to 1, k is equal to 1? Will it lead to s equal to 1, r equal to 1, which is the forbidden state, or it will not? That is our concern. Let's look at it. So for this combination, for two possible values of q, that is 0 or 1, we have to work out. Now in this case, when j equal to 1, k is equal to, you don't need to work out this, because when j is equal to 1, k is equal to 1, it is the same as this toggle flip-flop with t is equal to 1, because the t common signal which was given to both AND gates, if it were 1, we know it is going to toggle. Similarly, when j and k are both 1, it is the same as t equal to 1, it is going to toggle. So if you again carefully keep the pulse width of the j and k inputs to be larger than the propagation delay of this circuit and lesser than this delay, this toggling will take only once and it will toggle. That is, q will change from 0 to 1 or 1 to 0 for this case. You can even work out the putting different values of q, z, q, and then work out the SR, and we can do it. Okay. So which means that in this particular condition, it is not a forbidden state, but it acts as a toggle flip-flop. So this jk flip-flop has a no change state, set condition, reset condition, as well as the toggle condition also is there. So that way it is very versatile. and of course little complicated to deal with, as we will see later on in the design of JK latch and flip-flop based designs. Now we will stop this lecture by looking or coming up with the characteristic equation of this latch. What we mean by the characteristic equation is, what is the equation characterizing the functionality of the latch? That is, how do we write the output of the latch in terms of the input and the state? So we know that Q plus is a function of J, K and Q. So we will have a 3 variable K map to derive the function of Q plus. So this truth table has mapped to this K map. So we will conveniently put JK as to span the vertical axis, that is JK is 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1 and 1, 0. Why do we do so? Because here we have, you can easily read out those values of Q plus and fill it. And Q is put along the horizontal axis 0 or 1. Note that if you have clubbed K and Q here and J here, it would have been little difficult to extract the Q values and put it. So you should find out the natural way of filling the K map and deriving the equation from the truth table. Now you know this is the J is equal to J 0 0, JK 0 0 is the here, and Q 0 1 are the two squares along this axis. So you can see that Q is not changed. So it's a no change one. So if Q was 0, Q plus is 0. Q was 1, Q plus is 1. So you put it. Now look at this case, J10 case. That is 10 is this row. This 10 case is a set condition. So Q plus will always become 1. So for this 10, you can just fill 1 1 in both these two squares. And look at the 0 1 case, which is a reset condition. So for this row 0 1, you just put 0 0 for Q plus for both these places. And this 1 1 is the toggle condition. So against this 0 and 1, you have to flip the Q value and put it as the Q plus value. So against 1 1, if Q was 0, you put a 1 here. If Q was 1, you put a 0 here. So you can easily fill this K map from the functionality of the JK latch. Not even you should need to look into this truth table. How do we simplify it? Easy. These two ones can be covered to a single square, and these two ones can be clubbed to a single square. If we club these two things, you will have 3 terms, which is not necessary. So this term, if you read out here, K changes, so it will not be present. J equal to 1 and Q is equal to 0. So it is J Q bar. So it is J Q bar is one term. Look at this square. This is where Q is 1, and K is 0 for both this top and bottom row. So it is K bar. So it is K bar Q. So what is Q plus for a JK input? J Q bar plus K bar Q. Remember this is somewhat rhyming in nature. Q plus is J Q bar plus K bar Q. That is how you should remember the characteristic equation of the JK flip-flop, JK latch. Now in the next lecture we will start looking at the flip-flops, or the more specifically the edge triggered flip-flops, which we will construct it from these latches, and those are the ones which are going to be the building block for the synchronous sequential circuits, while only the D type latch will remain to be useful in circuitry. All the digital circuitries use edge triggered flip-flop only, and we will look at it in the next lecture. Thank you.